The stars looked different when you had seen thousands of them up close. Commander Hayuk stood on the bridge of the survey ship Silent Observer and watched another yellow star grow larger on the main screen. This was his 43rd system survey. This year, most of them were empty. Some had dead rocks. A few had primitive life that barely counted as interesting. "Sir, we are approaching the third planet," said his navigator, Lieutenant Kiwan. "Initial scans show it has water and an atmosphere." Hayuk nodded without much interest. Water worlds were common enough. The galaxy was full of them. Most supported nothing more than simple creatures swimming in endless oceans. "Run the standard biological scan. Let me know if anything moves." The ship Silent Observer belonged to the Valorian Empire, the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever known. For 3,000 years, the Valorians had spread across the stars, bringing order and progress to a chaotic universe. They had cataloged every species worth knowing, conquered every world worth having, and built an empire that spanned nearly 1,000 star systems. Yuck was good at his job. He could look at a planet and know within minutes whether it held anything valuable, rare minerals, useful life forms, or potential slave species. He had seen them all. The Valorian Empire was always looking for new resources and new workers to fuel its endless expansion. "Sir?" Kiwan called out, his voice slightly more excited than usual. "The planet shows signs of intelligent life. They have cities, technology, and artificial structures." Now that was interesting. Hyuk moved closer to the scanner displays. The third planet, the locals called it Earth according to their radio signals, showed clear signs of a technological civilization. Cities lit up the dark side of the planet like scattered jewels. Artificial satellites orbited in organized patterns. Most telling of all, the planet buzzed with radio communications in dozens of different languages. "What is their technology level?" Hayuk asked. Ensign Yuna, the ship's science officer, ran her fingers over the scanner controls. She was young but thorough, and Hayuk trusted her assessments. "They appear to be in the early atomic age, sir. They have chemical rockets, nuclear weapons, and basic computer systems. They have just begun to explore their own star system." Hyuk frowned. That was more advanced than most species achieved, but still laughably primitive by Valorian standards. The humans, that was what they called themselves, were using chemical rockets to crawl between their planets while Valorian ships crossed the galaxy in days. "Any evidence of faster-than-light travel?" he asked. "None, sir. Their fastest ships would take decades to reach even their nearest star." "Weapons capabilities?" Yuna consulted her readings again. "Their most powerful weapons are fusion bombs. According to our scans, their largest nuclear device produces an explosion equivalent to about 50 million tons of chemical explosive." Hayuk almost laughed. 50 million tons sounded impressive until you realized that a single shot from a Valorian patrol ship could crack a moon in half. These humans were playing with firecrackers while thinking they had discovered ultimate power. "What about their social structure?" Hayuk asked. This was important. Species that were already unified were harder to control than those split into competing groups. "They are divided into approximately 200 separate nations," Yuna reported. "These nations frequently engage in armed conflicts over territory and resources. They appear to have no unified planetary government." Perfect. Divided species were always easier to manage. The Valorian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds using the simple strategy of supporting one local faction against the others, then absorbing the winner into the empire once all resistance was eliminated. Population? Approximately 8 billion individuals. Hyuk nodded. That was a decent population for a single world. 8 billion workers could be very useful, especially if they were properly trained and motivated. The Valorian Empire always needed more hands to work in the mines, factories, and farms that fed their vast civilization. "Sir?" Kiwan interrupted. "We are receiving communication signals from the planet. They appear to have detected our ship." That was unusual. Most primitive species lacked the technology to detect a Valorian survey ship unless it wanted to be seen. These humans were slightly more advanced than the typical discovery. "Put it on the main speakers," Yuck ordered. The bridge filled with the sound of excited human voices speaking in several different languages. Hyuk's universal translator converted the babble into understandable speech. Unknown vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. We are tracking multiple aircraft approaching your position. All units, maintain defensive formation. Hyuk smiled. They thought their primitive aircraft could threaten a Valorian ship. It was almost cute, like children threatening adults with toy weapons. Should I respond, sir? Asked Kiwan. No. Let them wonder for now. Continue scanning their planet. I want a complete analysis of their resources, technology, and military capabilities. For the next 6 hours, the silent observer systematically cataloged everything about Earth and its human inhabitants. The results painted a picture of a species that was advanced enough to be useful, but primitive enough to control easily. The humans had impressive cities and a complex global economy. They had built massive industrial complexes, transportation networks, and communication systems. Their art, music, and literature showed creativity and intelligence. In many ways, they reminded Hyuk of the Valorians themselves in their early days, but they also had fatal weaknesses. Their planet was divided into competing nations that spent enormous resources fighting each other instead of working together. Their weapons were primitive and their space technology was barely capable of reaching their own moon. Most importantly, they had no knowledge of the greater galaxy beyond their small solar system. Analysis complete, sir, Yuna announced. Recommendation. For classification? This was the moment that would determine Earth's future. Every species discovered by the Valorian Empire was assigned a threat classification from Category 1, species powerful enough to pose a real danger to the Empire, down to Category 10, primitive life forms suitable only for basic labor. Hyuk considered the evidence. The humans were intelligent and creative, but their technology was centuries behind Valorian standards. They were numerous, but divided. They showed potential, but lacked the unity and knowledge to realize it quickly. Category 7, he decided. Negligible threat, moderate utility, suitable for integration as a labor world after standard pacification procedures. Yuna entered the classification into the official survey report. With those few words, she sealed the fate of 8 billion human beings. In the eyes of the Valorian Empire, Earth had just become another resource to be harvested when convenient. Estimated timeline for pacification? Hyuk asked. Standard procedures suggest a single battle group with 12 ships should be sufficient, Yuna replied. The humans' weapons cannot penetrate our shields, and their aircraft cannot operate in space where our ships have complete superiority. Time required? No more than 72 hours for complete planetary surrender, sir. Most species submit immediately when they realize the futility of resistance. Hyuk nodded. 72 hours was typical for a Category 7 species. The Valorian Empire had the process down to a science. Arrive with overwhelming force, demonstrate invincibility, offer generous terms for surrender, then integrate the defeated species into the Empire as productive citizens. It was actually quite civilized as conquests went. The Valorians did not believe in unnecessary destruction or cruelty. Conquered species kept their cultures, languages, and local governments as long as they accepted Valorian authority and contributed their fair share to the Empire's needs. Prepare the final survey report, Hyuk ordered. Include all technical specifications and cultural analysis. Recommend standard integration protocols. As Yuna compiled the report, Hyuk took one last look at Earth on the main screen. The blue and white planet looked peaceful and beautiful, completely unaware that its fate had just been decided by the casual observations of aliens who saw it as nothing more than another addition to their vast empire. The humans continued sending radio messages toward the Valorian ship, demanding identification and peaceful contact. They spoke of friendship, cooperation, and mutual understanding between species. They offered to share their knowledge and culture with the visitors from space. Hyuk found their optimism touching but naive. They thought this was first contact, between equals, a historic moment of cosmic significance. They had no idea they were being evaluated like livestock at a market. Report complete, sir, Yuna announced. Ready for transmission to Imperial Command. Send it, Hyuk ordered. and set course for our next survey target. Our work here is finished." The silent observer turned away from Earth and accelerated toward the next star on their survey list. Behind them, 8 billion humans continued their daily lives, completely unaware that their world had just been marked for conquest by an empire they did not even know existed. In the Imperial archives on the Valorian homeworld, Earth's file was processed by automated systems and assigned a priority rating of low handle when convenient. The conquest fleet that would eventually be sent to claim Earth was tentatively scheduled for some time in the next 5-year. 2 years passed before the Valorian Empire found time in their busy schedule to deal with the small blue world called Earth. Admiral Suman commanded the integration fleet, 12 ships of moderate size, more than enough to handle a category, 7 species but not so many as to waste resources on an easy target. The Eternal Dominion led the fleet through hyperspace toward Earth's solar system. Admiral Suman had conducted 43 successful integrations during her career, and she expected this one to follow the same predictable pattern as all the others. "Admiral," reported her communications officer, Lieutenant Isul, "we will arrive at the target system in 6 hours." Suman nodded from her command chair. She was reviewing the survey report filed by Commander Hyuk 2 years earlier. The humans had not changed much according to long-range observations. They still fought among themselves, still used primitive chemical rockets, still had no knowledge of faster-than-light travel. "Any signs of technological advancement since the initial survey?" she asked her science officer, Dr. Day. "Minimal, Admiral. They have improved their computer systems somewhat, and launched a few more satellites, but nothing significant. They remain a standard Category 7 civilization." That was typical. Most species took centuries to advance significantly once they reached the atomic age. The humans were developing at exactly the pace the Valorian computers had predicted. Estimated. "Resistance level? Negligible," Dr. Day replied confidently. "Their most advanced aircraft cannot operate effectively in space, and their nuclear weapons lack the delivery systems to threaten our ships. We project complete surrender within 72 hours of first contact." The integration fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, their arrival timed to be visible from Earth but not threatening. Standard procedure called for a demonstration of superior technology, followed by an offer of peaceful integration. "Admiral," Lieutenant Isul announced, "we are receiving multiple communication signals from the third planet. They have detected our arrival. Put the strongest signal on the main speakers." The bridge filled with a calm professional voice speaking in the human language called English. Suman's translator converted it instantly. "Unknown vessels, this is United Earth Defense Command. I am Admiral Minho Park, speaking for all Earth governments. We welcome you to our solar system and request immediate diplomatic contact." Suman raised an eyebrow. "United Earth Defense Command? According to our survey, they had no unified planetary government." Dr. Day checked his readings. "Confirmed, Admiral. This is a new development. It appears they have created some form of unified command structure in the 2 years since our survey. That was interesting but not concerning. Many species attempted to unite when faced with an external threat. It rarely made much difference in the outcome." Response from the human fleet. "Admiral," Lieutenant Isul reported, 12 vessels are approaching our position." Suman looked at the tactical display with amusement. 12 human ships were indeed moving toward the Valorian fleet. According to the scanners, they were slightly larger than the primitive vessels observed during the original survey, but still clearly based on chemical rocket technology. "Are they seriously planning to engage us in combat?" asked Commander Hyuk, who had requested assignment to this mission to see how his survey recommendations played out. "It appears so," Suman replied. "Admirable courage, if nothing else." Open. A communication channel to their Admiral Park. The main screen flickered and showed the image of a middle-aged human male in a military uniform. He had dark hair, intelligent eyes, and an expression of calm determination that reminded Suman of Valorian officers facing hopeless odds. "Admiral Park," Suman said in her most diplomatic tone. "I am Admiral Suman of the Valorian Imperial Fleet. We come in peace to offer your species membership in the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever known." "Admiral Suman," Park replied, "we appreciate your offer, but we prefer to remain independent." We propose instead a treaty of mutual cooperation between our peoples as equals." The Valorian bridge crew exchanged glances. It was almost touching. How the humans thought they could negotiate as equals with a civilization that controlled nearly 1,000 star systems. "Admiral Park," Suman said patiently, "I don't think you understand the situation. Your species has been classified as suitable for integration into the Valorian Empire. This is not a negotiation. It is an offer of generous terms for peaceful surrender." Park's expression hardened slightly. "And if we refuse these generous terms?" "Then your species faces extinction," Suman replied matter-of-factly. "But that outcome serves no one's interests. The Valorian Empire prefers to add productive citizens rather than create unnecessary casualties." "I see." Park was quiet for a moment, apparently considering his options. "Admiral Suman, may I ask how many other species have been given this same choice?" "Hundreds," Suman replied proudly. "The Valorian Empire has brought peace and prosperity to countless worlds. Your people will benefit greatly from joining our civilization." "And how many of those hundreds chose to fight rather than surrender?" Dr. Day consulted his records. "Approximately 40% initially chose resistance, Admiral Park. All eventually accepted integration once they understood the futility of opposition." Park nodded slowly. "I understand. Admiral Suman, we need time to consider your offer. 72 hours should be sufficient." Suman almost laughed. 72 hours was exactly the amount of time her computers had predicted it would take to complete the integration once formal contact was made. The humans were following the script perfectly. "Very well, Admiral Park. You have 72 hours to decide between peaceful integration and the alternative. I suggest you choose wisely." The communication ended, and the human ships withdrew, to a safe distance. Suman turned to her staff with a satisfied expression. "Analysis, Dr. Day." "Textbook Category 7 response, Admiral. They will attempt to prepare defenses for approximately 48 hours, realize the hopelessness of their situation, and surrender with 12 to 18 hours remaining on the deadline." Commander Hyuk studied the tactical displays. Their ships are maintaining a defensive formation around their planet. No sign of advanced weapons or shields. They appear to be exactly what our survey indicated, brave but hopelessly outmatched. "Estimated casualties if they choose to fight?" "Minimal on our side," Dr. Day replied. "Human losses would depend on how long they maintain resistance, but we can disable their ships without destroying them if necessary." Suman nodded. The Valorian Empire preferred to avoid unnecessary killing. Dead workers produced nothing, and destroying cities reduced the value of conquered worlds. Much better to demonstrate overwhelming superiority and allow the enemy to surrender with dignity intact. "Monitor their communications," she ordered. "I want to know what they're planning." Over the next 24 hours, Lieutenant Isol provided regular reports on human activity. The results were exactly what the Valorian computers had predicted. "Admiral, human military forces are mobilizing worldwide. They are moving their most advanced weapons to defensive positions and evacuating civilian populations from major cities. Any sign of secret weapons or hidden technology?" "None, Admiral. Their most powerful weapons remain nuclear missiles, and those cannot effectively target our ships in space." "What about their unified command structure?" "Appears to be genuine, Admiral. All human nations have subordinated their military forces to this United Earth Defense Command. Admiral Park seems to have complete authority." "That was actually impressive," Suman admitted privately. "Getting dozens of independent nations to surrender sovereignty in just 2 years showed remarkable leadership and diplomatic skill. Under other circumstances, she might have enjoyed meeting Admiral Park as an equal. But circumstances were what they were. The Valorian Empire needed workers and resources, and Earth could provide both. Personal admiration could not change the reality of superior force. Any attempts to contact other worlds or call for outside help? They have sent radio signals to several nearby star systems, but none of those systems contain advanced civilizations. They appear to be hoping for aid that will not come." The second day brought more of the same. Human forces continued their preparations while their leaders engaged in frantic diplomatic activity. Admiral Park sent several more messages requesting negotiation, offering trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts. Suman found his persistence admirable but futile. The humans simply did not understand the scale of the forces arrayed against them. The Valorian Empire controlled nearly 1,000 worlds with a combined population of over 2 trillion beings. Earth was a single planet with 8 billion inhabitants and technology centuries behind current standards. 16 hours remaining on the deadline, Admiral, Lieutenant Isol reported. Human communications indicate increasing desperation among their leadership. Any sign of preparation to surrender? Not yet, Admiral. If anything, their resolve appears to be strengthening. Admiral Park has issued statements declaring that humanity will never accept subjugation. Commander Hayek frowned. That's unusual for this stage of the process. Most species begin surrender negotiations with at least 24 hours remaining. Dr. Day checked his psychological profiles. Some species experience a temporary surge. The transformation was impossible, but it was happening anyway. Admiral Suman stared at the tactical displays as her science officer Dr. Day frantically tried to make sense of readings that defied every known law of physics and engineering. 3 days ago, humanity had been using chemical rockets to crawl between planets. Now their ships moved through space with an elegance that made Valorian technology look clumsy by comparison. Admiral, Lieutenant Isol reported, his voice strained. Human vessels are appearing throughout the system. They are not traveling through normal space. They are simply materializing at will. That's impossible, Commander Hyuk muttered, studying his scanner displays. Spacefold technology requires massive energy generators and complex mathematical calculations. You cannot just appear wherever you want. But the humans were doing exactly that. Their ships phased in and out of normal space as if distance were merely a suggestion they could choose to ignore. Even more disturbing, they were doing it silently. Valorian spacefold technology produced massive energy signatures and gravitational waves. The human ships left no trace of their passage. Dr. Day, Admiral Suman demanded, explain what I am seeing. I cannot explain it, Admiral. Dr. Day's hands moved frantically over his instruments. According to our surveys, humans had no knowledge of faster-than-light physics. Their most advanced theories were centuries behind our basic textbooks. Yet these readings suggest they have not just mastered spacefold technology, they have transcended it entirely. Admiral Park's image remained on the main screen, waiting patiently for the Valorians to process what they were witnessing. His calm expression was more terrifying than any show of anger or aggression. Admiral Park, Suman finally managed. What has your species done? We evolved, Admiral Suman, Park replied simply. You gave us 72 hours to choose between surrender and extinction. We spent that time choosing transcendence instead. Transcendence is not a choice, Dr. Day protested. Evolution is a process that takes millions of years. Technological advancement requires centuries of gradual progress. You cannot simply decide to become more advanced. Park smiled, and the expression was genuinely warm despite the circumstances. Dr. Day, with respect, you are thinking like a species that accepts limitations. We stopped accepting limitations approximately 71 hours ago. Commander Hayek studied the new human ships with growing alarm. Admiral, these vessels show no energy signatures that we can identify. Their hulls are composed of materials not found in our databases. They appear to be using principles of physics that we do not understand. Show me their weapons, Admiral Suman ordered. That is the problem, Admiral. Hyuk replied. They do not appear to have any weapons. No energy projectors, no missile tubes, no particle beams, yet our defense computers are classifying them as the most dangerous vessels ever encountered. As if responding to his words, one of the human ships moved toward a Valorian frigate. Captain Nara commanded the Infinite Glory, and her voice came over the communication system filled with confusion. Admiral, the human vessel is approaching our position, but we detect no hostile intent. They are not targeting our ship or charging any weapons. Maintain defensive posture, Admiral Suman ordered. Do not fire unless directly threatened. What happened next would be discussed in Valorian military academies for generations, assuming there were any academies left when this was over. The human ship did not fire any visible weapon. There was no energy beam, no projectile, no explosion. The Infinite Glory simply lost all of its defensive shields simultaneously. Every screen, every indicator, every defensive system went dark as if they had never existed. Captain Nara, report. Admiral, we have lost all shields and defensive systems. But there was no attack. Our sensors detect no weapons fire, no energy, discharge, nothing. Our shields did not fail, they simply stopped existing. Dr. Day stared at his instruments in horror. Admiral, the humans are not using weapons as we understand them. They appear to be manipulating quantum probability itself. They are not destroying our shields. They are convincing reality that our shields were never properly constructed to begin with. That is impossible. Impossible does not appear to be a concept the humans recognize anymore, Admiral. More human ships moved toward other Valorian vessels. Each time, the same thing happened. Shields disappeared. Weapons systems went offline. Engines stopped functioning. But the life support systems remained perfectly intact and no one was harmed. Admiral, Captain Nara reported, we are completely defenseless, but the humans are making no move to destroy us. They appear to be disabling us with surgical precision. Admiral Park's image spoke again. Admiral Suman, we are not trying to kill your people. We are simply demonstrating that your weapons cannot protect you from us. We would prefer to resolve this situation without unnecessary casualties. What do you want? Admiral Suman asked. We want you to understand that your evaluation of humanity was fundamentally flawed, Park replied. You cataloged our current limitations but ignored our defining characteristic. We are a species that refuses to accept limitations as permanent. Dr. Day was scanning the human ships with every instrument at his disposal. What he found defied explanation. Admiral, these vessels are not following any known engineering principles. Their hulls exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their power sources appear to be drawing energy directly from the quantum vacuum. Most disturbing of all, the crew readings suggest that the humans themselves have been enhanced. Enhanced how? Their neural activity shows patterns consistent with direct machine interface, but also with collective consciousness networks. Their reaction times are far beyond baseline human limits. They appear to be sharing information and capabilities instantaneously across their entire species. Admiral Suman felt reality shifting around her. This was not how first contact scenarios were supposed to unfold. Primitive species did not transform themselves into godlike beings in 3 days. Evolution did not work that way. Physics did not work that way. Admiral Park, she said, trying to maintain some semblance of diplomatic protocol. How did your species accomplish this transformation? The same way humanity has always accomplished the impossible, Admiral, Park replied. We refused to accept that it was impossible. Commander Hayek was studying biological scans of the human crews. Admiral, the humans have not just advanced their technology, they have fundamentally altered themselves. Their brains show neural pathways that should not exist. Their bodies display cellular modifications that suggest direct genetic manipulation. They have achieved controlled evolution in less than 72 hours. You gave us a choice between surrender and extinction, Park continued. What you did not realize is that humanity has faced extinction many times before. Our planet is what you would call a death world. For millions of years we survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and countless other disasters that should have destroyed us. Dr. Day was beginning to understand. A death world species. That explains their adaptability. Each time we faced extinction, Park said, we evolved, we adapted, we overcame. You assumed that our current technological level represented our maximum potential. You failed to account for what happens when humanity is truly threatened. But the timeline is impossible, Dr. Day protested. Genetic modification, technological advancement, social evolution, these processes require timescales far beyond what you had available. Dr. Day, you are still thinking linearly, Park explained patiently. When humanity decided to evolve, we did not do it gradually. We did it all at once. Every human being on Earth shared every piece of knowledge, every insight, every capability. We became a collective intelligence while maintaining our individual creativity. We achieved in hours what should have taken centuries because we had 8 billion minds working as one toward a single goal. The implications were staggering. Admiral Suman tried to imagine 8 billion intelligent beings sharing knowledge and working in perfect coordination. The computational power alone would be beyond anything the Valorian Empire had ever conceived. The rage helped, Park added almost casually. When you threatened our existence, you awakened something that has slept in humanity's genetic code for millions of years. The fury of a species that has survived everything the universe could throw at us. We channeled that rage into evolutionary energy. Admiral, Lieutenant Isel reported, human ships are now appearing in every star system within 50 light-years of our position. They are not traveling there. They are simply manifesting wherever they choose to be. Admiral Suman realized, with growing dread, that this was no longer a local phenomenon. Humanity was not just defending Earth. They were demonstrating capabilities that made the entire Valorian Empire look like children playing with toys. "What do you intend to do with us?" she asked. "That depends on you, Admiral," Park replied. "Your empire is built on the assumption that some species are naturally superior to others. We are here to prove that assumption wrong." "How?" "By showing every species in the galaxy what they are truly capable of achieving. The Valorians are not evil, Admiral Suman. You are simply limited by your own assumptions about what is possible. We would like to help you overcome those limitations." "Doctor." Dai was studying reading. The demonstration was swift and absolute. Admiral Suman found herself aboard her own flagship, but she was no longer in command. The Eternal Dominion now moved according to the gentle suggestions of beings who had transcended every limitation the Valorians had ever understood. Human crew members worked alongside her officers, not as conquerors but as guides helping confused children understand a larger universe. "Admiral," said Dr. Sarah Kim, the human liaison assigned to explain what was happening. She was young, perhaps 30 years old, but her eyes held depths of knowledge that suggested access to the accumulated wisdom of her entire species. "We are returning to the Valorian homeworld. Your empire needs to understand what has changed." "You are taking us as prisoners?" "No," Dr. Kim replied with genuine warmth. "We are taking you as witnesses. Your people need to hear what happened here from sources they trust." Admiral Suman watched through the observation ports as space folded around them. The journey to the Valorian homeworld, which should have taken weeks even with their fastest ships, was completed in what felt like minutes. But according to the ship's chronometers, no time had passed at all. "How are you doing this?" she asked. "We have learned to move through dimensions you have not yet discovered," Dr. Kim explained. "Space and time are more flexible than your physics suggests. When you understand the true nature of reality, distance becomes a matter of choice rather than limitation." Commander Hayuk, standing nearby, shook his head in disbelief. "3 days ago you were using chemical rockets. Now you manipulate space-time like a tool. It violates every principle of gradual technological development." Dr. Kim smiled. "Commander, you are thinking like a species that accepts the word gradual. When humanity's survival was threatened, we did not develop gradually. We developed instantly, with the focused fury of 8 billion minds working as one. The Eternal Dominion emerged from folded space in orbit around Valoria Prime, the heart of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia. But they were not alone. Hundreds of human ships materialized around them, each one representing capabilities that made Valorian technology look primitive. "Admiral Suman," came a transmission from the planet below. "This is Fleet Admiral Suyung. What is your status? We are detecting massive unidentified contacts throughout the system." Admiral Suman looked at Dr. Kim, who nodded encouragingly. "Fleet Admiral Suyung, this is Admiral Suman. We are unharmed but no longer in control of our vessels. The species we were sent to integrate has evolved beyond our ability to contain them." "Evolved?" "Admiral, Your mission was to integrate a Category 7 civilization. How could they possibly threaten our fleet? Because our classification system was fundamentally flawed, Admiral Suman replied, the words bitter in her mouth. We evaluated their current state and assumed it represented their potential. We were wrong. Dr. Kim activated the ship's communication system with a gesture that seemed to bend reality around her fingers. Fleet Admiral Su-young, this is Dr. Sarah Kim speaking for humanity. We come not as conquerors but as teachers. Your empire is about to learn what it means to reach beyond artificial limitations. The response from the Valorian Defense Fleet was predictable. Energy weapons fired from a dozen ships, targeting the human vessels with enough firepower to crack planets. The beams struck the human ships and simply disappeared, as if the energy had never existed. Impossible, Admiral Su-young transmitted. Our weapons have never encountered shields they could not penetrate. Admiral, Dr. Kim replied gently, we are not using shields. We are using applied mathematics. Your weapons exist in 3 dimensions. We exist in 17. Your energy cannot reach us any more than a drawing on paper can shoot a bullet at you. Commander Hyuk was studying the human ships with instruments that struggled to process what they detected. Admiral, the human vessels are not just in our dimension. They are simultaneously present in multiple layers of reality. They can choose which dimensional framework to interact with at will. Dr. Kim turned to Admiral Suman. Your empire has ruled through superior technology for 3,000 years. You have encountered hundreds of species and classified them based on their current capabilities. You have never met a species that could transcend classification itself. How did you do it? Admiral Suman asked. How did you achieve this transformation so quickly? We stopped accepting limitations, Dr. Kim replied. When you threatened our extinction, every human being on Earth shared everything they knew. Every scientist, every engineer, every theorist, every dreamer connected their minds and worked toward a single goal: transcendence. She gestured toward the observation port, where Earth was visible as a small blue dot. Dr. Junho at Seoul National University shared his quantum tunneling research with Professor Lisa at MIT. Her work on exotic matter combined with classified military projects, enhanced by private sector innovations, multiplied by the creative insights of 8 billion individual minds all working in perfect harmony. But the timeline, Dr. Day protested. Technological development requires testing, refinement, gradual improvement. You cannot skip from basic chemistry to dimensional manipulation in 72 hours. Dr. Day, you are thinking like a species that develops technology piece by piece, generation by generation, Dr. Kim explained. When humanity united, we did not develop technology gradually. We imagined it completely, tested it virtually in quantum simulations, and manifested it through collective will, backed by absolute understanding. The implications were staggering. Admiral Suman tried to imagine what it would be like if every Valorian scientist, engineer, and theorist could share knowledge instantly, build on each other's insights without delay, and transform pure theory into working reality through focused intention. The rage was important, Dr. Kim continued. When you threatened our species with extinction, you awakened something primal in human nature. We are a species that has survived ice ages, volcanic winters, asteroid impacts, and countless other disasters. Each time we faced extinction, we evolved. You gave us the ultimate motivation to evolve again. But you changed more than your technology, Commander Hyuk observed. Our scans show that you have altered yourselves biologically. Yes, Dr. Kim agreed. We enhanced our neural pathways to allow direct interface with quantum computers. We modified our cellular structure to survive in environments that would kill baseline humans. We expanded our consciousness to share knowledge while maintaining individual creativity. We became what humanity was always meant to be. Admiral Su-young's voice came over the communication system again. Dr. Kim, what do you want from the Valorian Empire? We want you to join us, Dr. Kim replied simply. Your empire is built on the idea that some species are naturally superior to others. We are here to prove that every species has the potential for transcendence if given the opportunity and motivation. And if we refuse, then you refuse, Dr. Kim said. We will not force evolution on anyone, but we will also not allow you to continue preventing other species from reaching their potential. Admiral Suman watched as human ships appeared throughout the Valorian home system, not threatening but simply present, demonstrating capabilities that made 3,000 years of imperial progress look like a child's first steps. Dr. Kim, she asked, what happens to the Empire now? That depends on what the Empire chooses to become, Dr. Kim replied. You can continue trying to control other species based on their current limitations, or you can learn to help them transcend those limitations. The choice is yours. And the other species? The hundreds of worlds you have cataloged and controlled? Dr. Kim's expression brightened. They will be given the same opportunity we are offering you. Every species in the galaxy will learn what they are truly capable of achieving when they stop accepting artificial boundaries. Commander Hyuk was studying reports from across the Empire. Admiral, human ships are appearing in every major system. They are not attacking Imperial installations, but they are making contact with every species under our control. They are offering hope, Dr. Kim explained. For 3,000 years, your Empire has told other species what they cannot do, what they cannot become, what they cannot achieve. We are telling them what they can do if they choose to try. Admiral Suman realized with growing understanding that she was witnessing the end of one age and the beginning of another. The Valorian Empire had been built on the assumption that species developed at predictable rates and could be controlled through superior technology. Humanity had just proved that assumption catastrophically wrong. Dr. Kim, she said quietly, you are not just ending our empire. You are ending the entire concept of galactic hierarchy. Yes, Dr. Kim agreed with satisfaction. In a universe where any species can transcend their current limitations through determination and proper guidance, the idea of superior and inferior civilizations becomes meaningless. What replaces it? Cooperation, Dr. Kim replied. Mutual assistance. The understanding that every species has something unique to contribute to the galaxy's development. Your empire excelled at cataloging and controlling other species. Imagine what you could accomplish if you dedicated that same organizational skill to helping others reach their full potential. Admiral Suman looked around her bridge at officers who had spent the 6 months later. The Valorian Empire existed only in history books. Admiral Suman stood in what had once been the Imperial Council chamber on Valoria Prime, watching representatives from 1,000 worlds work together to solve problems that would have taken the Empire centuries to address. The chamber buzzed with languages she had never heard before, as species that had been classified as primitive shared insights that revolutionized entire fields of science. It is remarkable, is it not, said Ambassador Minho Park, appearing beside her with the casual dimensional manipulation that humans now used instead of walking through doors. 6 months ago, most of these species were considered barely capable of spaceflight. Now they are collaborating on projects that make our old technology look like stone tools. Admiral Suman nodded, still struggling to adjust to a universe where impossible had become routine. Ambassador, I must ask you something that has been troubling me. Why did you show us mercy? By all rights, you could have eliminated the Valorian Empire entirely. Ambassador Park considered the question seriously. Admiral, humanity learned long ago that destroying your enemies only creates more enemies. But helping your enemies become better than they were before creates friends and allies. We did not want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to improve it. Around them, the transformed representatives continued their work. Dr. Yuna, who had originally classified humanity as Category 7, now worked alongside a collective of crystalline beings who had achieved consciousness networks spanning multiple star systems. Commander Hyuk consulted with floating energy entities that had transcended physical form entirely, while maintaining their curiosity about material science. Besides, Ambassador Park added with a smile, we needed your help. Our help? The Valorian Empire was very good at cataloging and organizing species across the galaxy. You had detailed records of every civilization, every world, every population center. When we decided to offer transcendence to everyone, we needed that organizational knowledge to reach them all efficiently. Admiral Suman realized with growing amazement that humanity had not just defeated the Empire, they had recruited it as a willing partner in galactic transformation. You turned our greatest strength into a tool for universal liberation. We turned everyone's greatest strengths into tools for universal improvement, Ambassador Park corrected. The Glithrians excel at biological engineering. The Zephyrins understand energy manipulation better than anyone. The crystalline collectives process information faster than organic minds can comprehend. Every species contributes something unique to our collective advancement. Even us, especially you, Ambassador Park replied warmly. The Valorians understand large-scale organization and administration better than any species we have encountered. Your empire governed 1,000 worlds for 3 millennia. We need that expertise to help coordinate a galactic civilization where every species is reaching its full potential simultaneously. Admiral Suman looked across the chamber and saw the truth of his words. Former Valorian administrators worked alongside representatives from dozens of species, helping coordinate resource distribution, communication networks, and collaborative research projects. The skills that had once been used to control the galaxy were now being used to free it. Admiral, said Dr. Sarah Kim, joining their conversation, we have a situation that requires Valorian expertise. What kind of situation? The hegemony of Rigel has rejected our offer of transcendence assistance, Dr. Kim explained. They are a militant species that views any change as weakness. They are threatening to attack worlds that have accepted our help. Admiral Suman frowned. The Rigel hegemony controlled nearly 50 star systems and had military technology that rivaled the old Valorian fleet. If they united with other resistant species, they could cause significant problems. What do you propose? She asked. We propose that you handle the diplomatic contact, Ambassador Park replied. The Rigelians respect strength and authority. You commanded fleets that kept them in check for centuries. They might listen to you in ways they would never listen to us. You want me to convince them to accept transcendence? We want you to convince them that transcendence is not defeat, Dr. Kim clarified. Many species fear that evolving beyond their current state means losing their essential identity. You can show them that Valorians remain Valorians even after expanding their capabilities. Admiral Suman considered the proposal. It would be strange to serve as an ambassador for the same humans who had dismantled her empire, but she had seen enough of their methods to understand their goals. They genuinely wanted to help every species reach its potential, not control them. Very well, she agreed. But I want Fleet Admiral Suyong and Commander Hyuk to accompany me. The Rigelians will need to see that our entire command structure supports this transformation. Of course, Ambassador Park agreed. Take whatever ships and personnel you need. This mission is too important for half measures. 3 days later, the diplomatic mission departed for Rigel Prime aboard a vessel that exemplified the new galactic cooperation. The ship itself was built using crystalline information processing, Zephyrin energy manipulation, and Valorian engineering principles, all enhanced by human dimensional technology. The crew included representatives from a dozen species working together as naturally as if they had always been allies. Admiral, reported Captain Nara from the bridge. We are approaching the Rigel system. Their defense fleet is moving to intercept us. Admiral Suman took her position at the communication station. Open a channel to Warlord Taeyon. The main screen showed a fierce-looking alien with multiple arms, scales instead of skin, and eyes that burned with aggressive intelligence. Warlord, Taeyon had commanded the Rigel hegemony for over 2 centuries and had never backed down from a fight. Admiral Suman, Taeyon growled. I heard rumors that you had betrayed your own empire to serve alien masters. I hoped they were false. Warlord Taeyon, Admiral Suman replied calmly. I serve no masters. I work with partners toward goals that benefit everyone. I have come to offer the Rigel hegemony the same opportunities that every other species in the galaxy is embracing. Opportunities to become weak and dependent on human charity. Opportunities to become stronger than you ever imagined possible, Admiral Suman corrected. Warlord, you have known me for centuries. Have I ever been weak? Have I ever accepted defeat? Have I ever settled for anything less than victory? Taeyeon's expression shifted slightly. No, you have not. Which is why your current position puzzles me. The Valorian Empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. Why did you surrender it to primitive aliens? Because they proved that the Empire was not the strongest force in the galaxy. Admiral Suman replied honestly. They demonstrated capabilities that made our 3,000 years of advancement look like a child's first attempts at engineering. Show me, Taeyeon demanded. Admiral Suman looked at Dr. Kim, who nodded and activated the ship's demonstration systems. The space around their vessel began to fold and twist as the ship existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Energy patterns that should have been impossible formed geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. The ship's weapon systems powered up and targeted a nearby asteroid, then convinced reality that the asteroid had never been solid to begin with. It simply ceased to exist without any explosion or debris. Impressive technology, Taeyeon admitted, grudgingly. But technology can be stolen, copied, or countered. What else do they offer? Evolution, Fleet Admiral Soo-young interjected. Warlord, we have enhanced our neural pathways to process information faster than our greatest computers. We have modified our cellular structure to survive in environments that would kill unenhanced beings. We have expanded our consciousness to share knowledge while maintaining our individual identities. You have made yourselves into something other than Valorian. No, Commander HFY said firmly. We have made ourselves into everything Valorians were meant to be. We are still Valorians. We are simply Valorians without limitations. Warlord Taeyeon was quiet for a long moment, studying the impossible vessel that hung in space before her fleet. And if we refuse this offer? Then you refuse, Ambassador Park said, his image appearing on the communication channel. We will not force evolution on anyone, but we will also not allow you to prevent others from choosing transcendence for themselves. What does that mean? It means that any species that wants our help will receive it, regardless of your objections, Dr. Kim explained. If you attack worlds that have chosen to evolve, you will discover that they are no longer as vulnerable as you assume. To demonstrate the point, one of Taeyeon's own ships suddenly appeared next to the diplomatic vessel. Not a copy or a projection, the actual ship, complete with confused crew. How did you do that? Taeyeon demanded. We asked some of your crew members if they wanted to see what transcendence looked like. Ambassador Park replied. About 30% of them said yes. They are currently touring our ship and learning about the opportunities available to them. You are stealing my soldiers. We are offering them choices, Ambassador Park corrected. When they return to your ship, they will remember everything they have seen. They will share that knowledge with others. Eventually, you will face a choice. Evolve alongside